Hello, hello, hello. It's me. I'm back. My name's Phoebe. I am a personal trainer and a soft tissue therapist here to help you move better and for longer and move better on the pitch as well. Today is going to be a little bit different in the sense that I'm not going to do a typical follow along class type session. I kind of wanted to break down what I coach in a way. So I am going to be showing you some exercises all based on the hip joint, but we're going to basically just break everything down to hopefully give you a better understanding of what I do, help give you a better understanding of how you can train better and implement all of these things into your own program and training schedule. To start with, I just kind of want to explain what movement is. So the fundamentals of movement, the key aspects, you've got mobility and flexibility, and stability and control, and proprioception. Proprioception is basically your body's awareness. It's part of the nervous system. I'll explain that a little bit later. We'll start with mobility. So mobility is basically your ability to access a range of motion as well as your strength in that range of motion. So everything kind of incorporates into each other. So you need flexibility to get to that range of motion, but you need strength in that end range of motion and the whole range of motion in order to have good, strong mobility. And stability and control obviously is your ability to keep your balance, to control a movement, to have each rep be of a high quality, and you're using the correct muscles, you're activating the correct muscles, you're able to just stabilize yourself through movement so everything has a smooth transition when you're chopping and changing, depending on what your sport is, or just genuinely in everyday movement. And then lastly, proprioception or body awareness is your body's understanding of where you are in space. Your nervous system can feel where your limbs are or where your different parts of your body is, and the more you strengthen your proprioception, the more stability and control you have, the more control over your movement you'll have, the better you'll be able to train, the better you'll be able to perform, etc, etc. Trying to give you an example, like one of the easiest things to do is just standing on one leg and seeing how well you're able to stay on this leg. It gets more difficult once you close your eyes, because now you've taken away your vision. Your nervous system is now completely reliant of the knowledge of your body and what you are feeling. So the feeling of what muscles are activating, what's where, what's going on, help me, that kind of thing. Hopefully that made sense. I don't know if I explained that in the best way, but on a basic level, proprioception is literally your body's awareness of where you are and where your limbs are. So we've got the core aspects of movement. Now I want to break down strength and function, as well as a little bit more about the nervous systems. Strength and function are not the same thing. You can go to the gym and smash your muscle body group split with concentric exercises, which is a concentric exercise is you adding resistance whilst shortening the muscle, like a bicep curl going up. So as much as a concentric strength can make a muscle stronger, if you don't develop the specific eccentric and isometric control, those muscles probably aren't functioning properly. So eccentric contraction is adding resistance while the muscle is lengthening, like the bottom part of a bicep curl when you're bringing your wrist down, so your bicep is lengthening. Eccentric control is really important for deceleration, acceleration, changing direction. And isometric contraction is basically just staying still and just be adding a hold at the end. So imagine you're doing a lunge, you can just add an isometric lunge hold, you're not moving a position. And then you've got the isometric where you are creating force against an immovable object. So if you've ever seen someone on a squat rack where they're putting the bar underneath the rack and then pushing upwards, that is an isometric exercise. We're pushing at either 50, 75, 100%, whatever, force into the rack so that you're not actually moving, but you're pushing all of your force in that direction as if you were. So that's just different types of isometric exercises. Anyway, my last point, you'll be happy to know, is just a little bit about the nervous system. So your neuromuscular system, it teaches itself movement through practice and repetition. The more you do something, the better it becomes at it, which also means that it can learn poor movement patterns from doing them too much. The most common example of that is someone who has a desk job and they sit down on their arse all bloody day. So you're in the same position, your hip flexors are shortened, your shoulders are rounded, your neck is forward. Your body will learn that movement or lack of movement pattern and develop postural tendencies like rounded shoulders that fall inwards, tight, sore, weak hip flexors, really weak glutes that are very difficult to then activate to strengthen again, all of these things. With that also comes that the nervous system can forget things from lack of movement. So I feel like there was a trend on TikTok where people were trying to start from their knees and jump up, like start from their knees and jump up off the floor. If someone who hasn't done any kind of jumping or moving around for 10 years, their body won't know how to do that. I feel like I have gone way too much of a rampage. To go back to the core factors of movement, of mobility, flexibility, stability and control, and proprioception, we're going to use that information that you've now got down to a T, thank you, and we're just going to go through some hip-focused exercises. For purposes of this video, we're just going to do a couple exercises that focus on each one, just so that you can kind of understand and see the difference and what they all mean together, okay? I've got quite a few different pieces of equipment for this one. You can adapt it to what you've got. So if you've got a wobble board, a Bosu ball, that would be great. If you don't have one, you can always like roll up a towel or a pillow, just anything that you can stand on that's not the ground or flat, so you can have something to make you unstable, basically. I've got a resistance band and a bench, and also some dumbbells. Some light ones. You can also use plates, kettlebells, whatever you've got. So at the beginning of the session, obviously I'll always do a warm-up. This isn't like a proper follow along. I'm not going to do a warm-up this time. I am going to start more with the mobility hip opening exercises. So the first ones are just some glute rocks. So to do these ones, you want to sit on the floor, have one foot planted on the floor, bring your other foot across your knee like this, so it's at a right angle. You should, in this position, you should feel a stretch in your glutes. And now we're just going to rock our knees from side to side. So with this exercise, we are stretching our glute muscles and just getting some movement in the joint socket. You know, you can go a little bit crazy with it and go all the way, but this is kind of just warming up a little bit. To give yourself more of a stretch, bring the foot that's on the floor closer to your body, as that will stretch this glute muscle more. The next one, don't laugh at me. If anyone laughs at me, you're getting blocked. Hashtag blocked. So we've just done little glute rocks. Now we're going to do frog rocks. So a frog position is basically, again, legs akimbo. We've got knees on the floor. My calves are straight back behind me, and I'm opening my knees wide enough so that I feel a stretch. Hopefully you can go as wide as you can, and you're just going to rock backwards and forwards. And with the more repetitions, the deeper you can go backwards. This is a really good hip opening exercise, very good for the start of the session to warm up and really open up those hips. You can also just hold the position to increase your flexibility with a static stretch. But we are rocking today. We are rocking. Rock out. Very good, very good. Okay, and then the last little hip opener. I think some people call them 1990s. I call them Z twists. I don't know if I made that up or if I stole it from someone, so if I have, sorry. But I like to call it a Z twist because it looks like a Z. So, they are called 1990s because you've got both of your knees in a 90-degree angle. So one in front of you and one behind you, and then twist to the other side. Try to not do what I just did and don't use your hands on the floor, so that you're really using your hips and strengthening your hip rotation. Because this is like, yeah, you know, you can, yes, you are rotating your hips. You're not controlling it yourself through your hip rotation. You're not strengthening your hip rotation. By not using your hands, you are adding an element of control and a little bit of strength as well. But this is more of a hip opening exercise, going through internal and external rotation. Hip rotation is not just flexibility. When your hips can't control rotation, it borrows it from other parts of your body, like your hip flexors, or you know, your groin, your lower back, or your knees, which then obviously puts more pressure on those different places. It leads to overuse injuries because you're overcompensating with something else. If you think about running, you're not just, you know, bending and straightening your knees. You are using your ankles, your knees, your hips, your torso, you're twisting your arms. So if any part of that chain is not functioning properly or is injured for whatever reason, then your body will borrow that movement from somewhere else. So if you can't control your hip rotation, your lower back will start overcompensating, your hip flexors, hamstrings, whatever, will start overcompensating for that lack of control or strength in that area, which, like I said, then leads to overuse injuries, which leads to chronic pain. Yay! Yay, no one wants chronic pain. So that was Z twists and hip rotation knowledge. Again, locked in, you now know everything. Moving on from hip opening exercises, we're then going to go into hip strengthening exercises. We're going to do hydrant kicks. There are a couple of variations to this, but I'm going to show you the one where you don't need any equipment first. So if you don't know what hydrant kick is, it's like a dog going for a piss. You're starting your hands on your knees. Make sure hips and your shoulders are square, so facing the floor. You're going to lift your leg out to the side, and then to add the kick, straighten your knee and bring it back in like this. Okay, so out, out, in. For this one, it's really important that you keep your hips square to the floor, because if I were to twist open and then kick out, that makes it really easy, and you're not strengthening your hip rotation. You're using other parts of your body to compensate for that. So that makes it really easy. So you want to keep hips square to the floor and then kick out. Makes it a lot harder. Hip square, kick out, and bring back in. To show you the difference again, if I wasn't keeping my hip square, I'd be coming out, twisting, and then doing that. Makes it way easier, which you don't want to do. But hip square, kick, and come out like this. The alternative that I was talking about is if you grab a bench or a chair. So here, I'm lifting and then I'm kicking out like that. This basically just teaches you to keep your hip high enough so that you're not just half-assing it. Thank you very much. We don't accept that here. So you can either keep it lifted and just do the kicks like that, or you can lower each time, lift and kick. Remember to keep those hips square facing the floor, like so. Second hip strengthening exercise is a banded or resisted internal rotations. So you want to get a resistance band around your ankles or just calf area. Put a block of some sort or something stable basically would be better. And you want to come into kind of like a tabletop position. Get your core engaged, lower back flat on the floor. You don't want to be arched. Okay. This stays in between your knees. Resistance band around your ankles, and you are going to internally rotate your hips by moving your ankles, moving your feet outwards like that. It's quite a small movement, so keep your knees squeezed together and then move your feet outwards like that. You should feel like pretty much all of the muscles around your hips, your adductors, so in the middle, as well as your glute min, glute med, all of those fun ones. Okay, so this one's quite basic, blah blah blah. The first time I did that, I could feel it in my glute min and glute med for like an entire week, so have fun with that. So we're still working on hip strengthening exercises, but we're gonna focus more on end range or lengthened range. These kind of exercises are really, the next two that I'm gonna show you are really, really important if you're trying to increase your flexibility. I feel like I mentioned this earlier, but increase your flexibility. You don't just want to do static stretches, because you need to teach your nervous system to understand that it is safe and in control in those stretched end ranges. It isn't just important to increase your flexibility so that you can do the splits or whatever. It's also so important for agility-based sports, because it's really easy to overstretch. Your body won't be used to being in that position. It won't have the strength to stay in that position, so it will try and protect itself by contracting the muscles, which is what leads you to injuries and tears and stuff. For example, you know, like a tennis player might have to side lunge really quickly from one side to the other, or just overstretch, or like a footballer overstretching to stop a ball. If they haven't trained their strength in those end ranges, it is really easy to just cause tears and strains and that kind of stuff. So this is a really good one for your adductors. Strengthening your adductors is very important to avoid groin injuries. Footballers, I'm talking to you. Please listen to me. Hello, hello, thank you. If everything else around the groin is weak, then it's just gonna die, and you're gonna die. We are going to do butterfly lifts. So I've got two outrageously large dumbbells. These are only 5 kilograms. Just look ridiculous. Anyway, you're going to keep your feet, the soles of your feet together, knees out wide, and then you're going to do lift and down. This needs to be really slow and controlled. Up and down. So here my adductors are building strength in a very vulnerable position for them. You know, they're outstretched really wide, they're really lengthened, but then they're learning to cope with resistance at the end of the stretch, whilst also lifting and building up that strength and controlling it on the way down. Just like this. So that's a really good one. And for the next one, we are going to strengthen our hip flexors in a lengthened position. So for this one, you want to get into a deep lunge, grab the weight, and then you just want to lift that back knee off the floor and lower it back down. So here, my back hip flexor is stretched and lengthened, and I'm using it to lift myself up off the floor and back down. So I'm leaning forwards. I'm leaning forwards to get the stretch in my hip flexors, and I'm lifting my knee up and lowering it back down. If you want to increase the stretch of your hip flexor even more, put something, whether it's a block or a plate or a step, whatever you can manage. Again, so lean forward and come up like that. On the way down, I'm increasing that stretch on my hip flexor, like that. Bow, bow, wow. So we've done mobility with the hip openers and the hip strengthening, and flexibility with the end range hip strengthening. Oh my god, I can't speak! Now we're going to move on to the stability and control. We are going to do Copenhagen planks. If you've never seen one before, you are going to want a bench. My knee on the bench, so the inside of my knee is on the top of the bench, resting on your elbow, and you're using your adductors to keep yourself stable. And with this isometric hold, your adductors are learning stability and control, as well as the lower leg, by holding itself up, is also doing the same thing. Not as intense as the top leg, because it's holding your entire body weight. I'm not shaking, you are. Well, that's basically it. That's a Copenhagen plank. And you can work your way up from holding it for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, you know, go crazy. You can do a Copenhagen plank with your foot on the bench. So now I'm using my inner thigh and my inner lower leg to keep myself stable. Like so. This exercise is a lunge knee drive. I think you would have seen these in my other videos if you've seen them before. Nice and simple. Backward lunge, knee drive up. Backward lunge, knee drive up. Again, this is all about stability and control. Any exercise where you're using one leg will always incorporate and practice balance and moving through an exaggerated gait movement like a lunge into a knee drive, incorporating your glutes on one leg at the bottom and your hamstrings and your hip flexors in this leg, bringing it up and back down. You can add weight to this, so you can hold dumbbells. Hold one dumbbell to increase the imbalance, which will help you improve your balance even more. So we are finally onto the last key part of movement, which is proprioception. So grab yourself a wobble board. If you don't have a wobble board or a Bosu ball, you can roll up a towel or have a pillow to stand on, just anything that's gonna give you some instability. I've got a load of that. Gross. This is incorporating a lot of coordination, which is very good for increasing your proprioception, because my ankle, knee and hips are working to keep myself stable. This hip is also working to stay controlled and high, and then I'm coordinating all of that with swapping the block over and under like this. So you want to keep the knee at a right angle, nice and high in front of you. Like this. This also teaches you core activation, because you need to use your core muscles to stay stable as well. Your whole body is working together to control this movement. So core strong, knee high at a right angle, passing through. We're going on to the last exercise. I want you to look it. We're going to do overhead marches. Use a weight to do them without a wobble board, where you've got one arm up and then you're marching with opposite legs, one at a time. Again, core is really tight to control the movement and keeping me stable. By doing it on a wobble board, which means that we're obviously we're not going to alternate our legs. We can do one leg at a time. Foot planted on the wobble board, opposite arm in the air, opposite leg comes up and down. Nice, slow and controlled. Again, your whole body, all of your muscles are working together, especially now incorporating the overhead weight. Everything is working together to stay strong and stable and controlled. Hopefully that has given you an idea of what movement is and the things that I want to coach to people and athletes to understand, that control comes before power. Mobility isn't just flexibility. Mobility is strength in your whole range of movement, and you need flexibility to access the range of movement, be a better athlete, by incorporating all of these things: mobility, flexibility, stability and control, and proprioception, so that you can translate those things into your performance on the pitch, into power, speed, agility, all of the above. That is what I coach, that is what I want you to understand, and hopefully this video has kind of helped to break it down a little bit, and also given you some ideas for hip exercises to put into your routine. So I hope you liked it. Subscribe for more. Sorry that I missed last week. Sorry for party rocking. Anyway, that's me. I'm done. Stop talking. Thank you. Bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.